All right, here we go. So, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of QuattroQuattroDos. We here again, and we have another special guest, another coach, high school coach that we came across, and it would be cool to, we've been talking to different people around Houston about, their life, about, how soccer, is connected to their life, and I was able to find Julio here, who actually coaches the high school team that I went to. So it's pretty interesting, pretty cool. So I wanted to get his perspective, the way that he sees soccer, and just kind of all that high school coaching, experience, and all the stories that come out of there. So once again, thank you, Julio. How you doing, man?
Oh, we're good, man. Another day. Blessed to be here. Appreciate you letting me hop on here, man.
Yeah, no problem. So yeah, let's go. Let's just go ahead and get started. Let's go from like the beginning of Julio. So
Oh God.
tell me a little bit about where were you born, if you were born here, where your parents from, and the whole life of when did soccer come into your life as a kid or a young man or whenever it came in.
So my mom's a Salvadorian, dad's Guatemalan. Been around this area like my whole life, the Katy area. My dad was the first one that got me into soccer, and I mean, I hated it at first because he made it to where like he's typical Latino dad. You don't score, there's a punishment. You pass the ball, there's a punishment. So like I remember growing up, man, eating a lot of eggs and onions, and still hate onions. I was always like a passer or facilitator. I don't know, man. For me, I never really like to be the goal scorer. I don't really like that much attention or people like to notice me. Same thing for my coaching. I mean, that's the same style I have. It's not about me. It's about those dudes. So that's like, I mean, I love the game. Avid watcher. I mean, today I watched Tottenham Arsenal. Like, what a battle. I mean, if anytime the game's on, man, I'm watching it, So that's like, I mean, it's a huge part of my life. It's taught me every life lesson I can think of. I mean, where else in life do you get knocked down over and over again and you make the choice to stand up and fight? That's what I always try to tell these kids, is that you fight on that field.
So as a kid, growing up, did you happen to play like club team or club soccer or stuff like that, like in school?
It's all Sunday league, man. All Sunday league. You couldn't afford that, not club, man. So yeah. It's different, man. Like I feel like nowadays there's a club to the club, or it's just so diluted. Like, because growing up, I mean, it was like you were either like Houstonians, Albion, Rush, played Sunday league, or that's about it. But nowadays, man, there's like so many clubs out there. The cool thing is to see how many kids are interested in the sport, because we always take like the back door, or we're like that awkward cousin, or we're that sport that, people always have those common misconceptions, or they think we're not tough. But I don't know, man. You step on that field, man, it's tough out there. It's like, it's hard.
So I'm interesting to know about these Sunday leagues, because I grew up also, I played club, but also like my dad, my uncles, they played here in the league on Biker Cypress, Cullen Park. Yeah,
man, everybody played Cullen Park.
And that one used to get, it used to get heated, used to get wild. You got stories from there?
Oh my God, that one. But probably like one of the craziest stories I have is like from we used to play like off of like Clay Road and Bellway 8 kind of area. There's like
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, that place, man, that's probably one of my craziest stories. Like some of us from high school like made like a team out there once, and our high school coach had a son, and he was pretty good for his age. He was a lot younger than us, but he was pretty good. And his dad wanted him to, like toughen up and start playing out there, and like, because it's different when you play with men than when you play with kids your age. You learn how to take some hits, and you learn how to play quicker, faster, because if not, you're going to get laid out. So we take him out there, and I'm not even kidding, man. After the first half, like it breaks loose. It gets wild, man. Like punches start throwing and things like that. And like me and my friend like grabbed our high school coach's son, and it's a full on, like everybody's on the field. Like it's a rumble. And like we grabbed him, and then like we're running, and then I turn around and we lose him, and he's trying to get into the action. We're like, oh crap! Like, hey man, that's not our fight, man. Get out of there! Like I've always said that. Even when I play nowadays, when people start fighting or throwing hands or pushing, I'm always like, man, I got work tomorrow. I'm not trying to get hurt. Exactly. I'm not trying to have a bruised freaking eye or face or something, man. I'm not about that life anymore. So
I feel you. I'm the same way. But just in case if the listeners are, if you're not from like West Houston, these two places that we're talking about, they're pretty big here in the west side of Houston, especially that Cullen Park one. There's like what, 6, 7 fields or something like that.
Oh yeah.
And every Sunday, it gets packed out there. Like I remember going in as a kid and then kind of growing up, and my dad was like, you want to play? And I was like, dude, I'm like 13, but let's do it, But that, like you said, that's where you get, your stripes, to start playing with the big men.
Yeah, you learn a different style of play, man. You learn a completely different style.
So tell me about your high school days. Did you happen to play in high school? How was your high school experience? Because we grew up almost at the same time. Obviously, my high school days, I grew up, I went to a different, like a rival school. I remember playing in high school. I hated Morange, where you went.
Yeah. So we were taught to hate everybody, man. Our high school coach was really big on like the psychological aspect of it. So, I mean, he made us hate red, blue. I mean, you were only like, it's the same kind of stuff I do. You're only allowed to wear certain colors in the locker room. I mean, high school soccer it's awesome. Like we kind of created a brotherhood at Morden. And it's kind of interesting because the guy they just made head coach was our goalie back in the day.
Oh, so
yeah, it's interesting because like hopefully he brings that like pride and brotherhood and stuff like that back. Because I mean, back in the day, Taylor was also really good. I remember that Taylor had some ballers, especially my sophomore year. They had some really good players. But like in my junior year too, they had some really good players. 07. But like I'm really hoping that he brings that back, because what made us always so good, like, yeah, we had good players and we had some, like ballers, but we were just so close, man. And that's something that I think, you even see it on like the pro level, like the closest teams, the guys that care about each other, they stick their neck out. They're willing to go that extra mile, like lay that leather out. Like those are the teams that, man, they're tough to beat. You look at Liverpool, man, those guys love each other. You look at Real Madrid, like, man, like you can't tell me, man, those Real Madrid guys don't love each other. I hate to say it. That's not my team, man, but what they're doing right now, that's special, man. Like you could tell Vinicius, Militao, Casemiro, Modric. I saw a video of them all like doing free kicks and they're all laughing and joking. And I feel like that's what we had at Morden. It's just everybody was just so close, man. And we had a coach that did a really good job of bringing us together. And it wasn't just about one guy. And I think those are like the special groups. He made it like to where everybody mattered and everybody was like a part of the process. Everybody was a part of the journey. And I think back in the day, we had like an incredible run. We had just started the school and we had a tradition of always making playoffs and things like that nature. Even my senior year, we almost blew it. We almost didn't make playoffs. And we were able to make it at the end. But it's just, like basically that fight we had for each other. And I think that's something I try to teach these guys at Taylor is that, man, every day, it's a battlefield out there. You got to fight for each other, man. Like I always say this is probably the most competitive district I was ever a part of. Like those every night, man, like you show up and it's like Tompkins is going to kick your butt tonight. Oh, and then guess what? You got Cinco the next game. And guess what? You got Maid Creek, who they got all the Cullen Park, Bear Creek ballers. They got Maid Creek, man. Back in the day, Maid Creek, you didn't mess around with Maid Creek, man. They had all the ballers. They had the Dynamo players. Man, they had Maid Creek was stacked. Maid Creek and Cinco were stacked back in the day. But,
so tell me about your transition, out of those high school days into maybe like college and then getting into the coaching part. How was that transition for you?
So like when I was at college, one of my jobs made me volunteer at the YMCA. And it's crazy because that's where the soccer thing started. Like, and I basically had to coach like a U7 kids team. And these kids knew nothing about the game, but they were just adorable, man. And like teaching them like how to stop on the ball, like how to roll the ball with their lace or with their not their laces, wow, with their studs, how to drag and pull, things like that, how to do like little scissors, step over, cut, little rollbacks, man, like things like that is like, I don't know, it felt like fun and rewarding because you're teaching somebody how to do something, and you're teaching someone how to enjoy the game. We didn't win a lot, but we had like the most fun, man. Like I always tell those kids, man, when you score, you just celebrate like you won the World Cup. And we had one kid that was like, man, he was like Meals on Wheels, man. But every time he took his shirt off and just come running, I'd be like, dude, I love that kid with it. Like, and he'd have like a little America jersey under his. And it's cool, man. 7 years old and you already got a team and you're just enjoying your life. But that's kind of when I realized, like, man, I like this coaching thing. It's interesting, like it's fun. And then from there, like I kind of came over here to Cypress Lakes High School, and I worked there for about 5 years. I always say that guy's one of the dudes that taught me a lot about the game. There's two guys I say. One's Freddie Sanguinetti, my high school coach, taught me like the defensive side, the discipline side, and how to play tough. And then Franklin taught me like combination play, possession. Franklin Cartagena, how to go forward with the ball, how to attack, how to be more dynamic in open space. And I think that like those two guys, like philosophy, kind of like, you know, taught me how to play this game or coach this game. So like at Cy Lakes, you know, we had like a bunch of like Hispanic kids, man, and they could play, man. We had some kids that they can really like, man, those Latino kids, they could knock the ball up, man. Like, and it was just so fun to see, like teaching those kids, like, you know, how to psychologically not take yourself out the game and just play for the love of the game and passion. And it was fun to develop kids like that. And you know, Franklin, he's a great coach, man. He's awesome. I don't know if you've ever kept up with Cy Lakes, or that guy's made the playoffs like 12 years straight in a row. So I mean, over there, like, man, we had some ballers, man, and it was fun. So to go from that to Taylor, where I think it's like not the same dynamic. We got less Hispanic kids, you got a little more white kids, but you got kids from all over. There's something I really did enjoy or like about coaching Taylor was the international aspect of it. For the last 2 years, man, I mean, I got exposed to so many different kinds of food, man. That's why I'm 100% believe I can make like 1,000 pounds while working there. It's because like, I got kids from Korea, man, and they'll bring me, like the other day, one of them brought me some Korean fried wings, and they were phenomenal, man. And they're always bringing me snacks and things like that. I had a Japanese kid. I had a kid from Finland. I had kids from Scotland, a kid from England. Like we get them all, man. Serbia or Croatia. We had our Argentines. I'm still mad at my boy Ignacio. Never bought me the choripan or none of that, man. I'm still upset at him. Like, but like we have kids, Peruvians, Venezuelans, and it's just a cool like feeling. Like you got your Colombians, just the different dynamic to have kids from all over the world. And I think it was that diversity that really brought us together, just to be so open to all the different kinds of cultures. And you know, that's one of the things I love about this game, especially like the club level, is that you have so many guys from different parts of the world. So many, like, I mean, you break down any team, like, you know, you break down let's say Liverpool. You got the Colombian Luis Diaz up top now. You got Sadio Mane from Senegal. You got Mo Salah from Egypt. Jordan Henderson from England. Fabinho from Brazil. Van Dijk in the back. The Rock in the back from the Netherlands. You got Thiago, freaking Spaniard, man. I mean, we could go for days, man.
Yeah.
And it's like that different. Like it's just. Like all those guys coming together. That's what soccer is about. Doesn't matter where you're from. Doesn't matter your background, your ethnicity, your problems. Like once that ball hits the pitch, it's just 11 guys trying to figure out one problem: how we put that ball in the back of the net. You know, and that's to me, that's special, man. I don't think there's another sport that really like symbolizes or produces that kind of product where it's just so many international people, so many different countries, origins, like coming together to play one sport. I mean, can you think of a sport that does that?
Not really. Not really.
basketball, I mean, most of them are from America. You
Yeah.
have some Spaniards, you have maybe some Brazilians, some Argentinians, and some Africans, but other than that, they're mainly Americans.
Yeah.
Baseball, you got your Dominicans and your Japanese and Venezuelans, but most of them are Americans. NFL, like they're all American, so
Yeah.
it's cool. Like that's what you gotta respect about soccer, man. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful sport.
So let me dive in a little deeper into like your coaching from like Side Lakes to Taylor, because I imagine at Side Lakes you were maybe assistant coach over there.
Yeah, JV coach. Yeah,
JV coach. Okay. So tell me, and then at Taylor you were head coach, right?
yes, sir.
Yeah. So tell me what like the different dynamics of maybe being a JV coach, because I talked to Bruno, who is an assistant coach at oh man, Royals and man,
Berkshire,
I'm blanking out. But yeah, Berkshire, my bad.
Royal. Yeah,
So obviously, a different dynamic there from being like, I think they're a 4A school. Obviously, these schools are probably 6A because of the number of kids in the school.
yeah.
But obviously, being a head coach, obviously it's a different role than being an assistant coach. So because obviously in the JV level, maybe you're still teaching more than, not, I don't know if basics, because obviously the kids know how to play, have an idea of what soccer is, but maybe you're kind of like fine tuning the details. And then maybe like in a varsity style, it's more of kind of like coaching. And I don't know if maybe those can flip flop, but you know what I mean, right?
Yeah.
So can you tell me more of what was your role as an assistant, and then we can talk about what was your role as a head coach.
So, something I always like enjoyed about like Cartagena style was that, or at Cy Lakes, is that I was kind of like just as important as like any other coach. I mean, like I'd help make game plans. I'd watch film, scout opponents. I think but the thing that like I think makes the assistant coach so more special is you get to develop like closer relationships with the players, because like you're more seen as as I wouldn't say their buddy, but approachable. Whereas the head coach, he's the head guy, and like what he says goes. He's an authoritarian figure and things like that. So I think it's kind of sometimes it's difficult for players to open up or to talk about things. But man, like I do love being an assistant. It was probably one of the most fun I had is like developing kids. That's something I love. So even at Taylor, man, I still train like the freshman team and work them out like every day. For me, it does. I mean, it doesn't matter. Like I enjoy that aspect of the game, like developing kids. So at Cy Lakes, like every year, I'd lose like 2, 3, 4 players to varsity, just developing them and getting them moved up. And that's something I always took pride in, was that like developing players, like getting them to realize their potential. I'm not saying I made players. I don't believe in that, but getting them to realize their potential and the greatness in them. Because I think like if you were destined to play at a certain level, you're destined to play. Sometimes you just need that push, like that dad pushing you in the deep end so you learn how to swim. So, I mean, and as far as like, I think sometimes that's like a misconception, is like that, varsity goes more into detail or things like that. I do the same thing with the freshmen I do with the varsity. It's just they do it faster and tidier or more accurately or more precise. Because I remember like my first year at Taylor, man, something I decided to do was keep all the freshmen together, and then it ended up paying off in the long run. But whatever I did with those kids, I did with the varsity group, and it was just like to create like the same ideology or concept of the game. We want to possess the ball, and if we're not in possession, we want to high press and win it back. And that's the same way I played at Cy Lakes. Like I love that 3-5-2, man. Oh, but the thing about the 3-5-2 is you got to have the right pieces. If you don't have those 3 studs in the back that hit a 4-4-40 or they're built like a brick wall, you can't run it. Like at Cy
Exactly.
Lakes, like I love that 3-5-2 because we didn't have the biggest guys, but we had like smart guys that knew how to play angles and things like that. And we always played that. Like I don't know, like I like that traditional aspect of like 2 forwards. Like I love that concept. Like like you got 2 playmakers, like or 2 finishers up top, and you got that 10 right behind them, just sliding them in. Like looking for that through ball or that 10 that can shoot from distance. Like I love a number 10, man. You get a solid number 10, he breaks or makes your team, man. And it sucks because I feel like the game, like the more modern it gets, the more it's starting to move away from that 10. But I love like working at Cy Lakes with those kids and things like that. Because as the JV coach, I don't know, man, you just get put in so many different situations that like you just get to bond with everybody. You have your own team, and then you also bond with the varsity guys. So it's cool because it's not just about one team, but because you get to develop those guys for the future and get them thinking the right way. Like you get them working on, like as JV players, you get them working on discipline, working on that first touch, playing fast, looking before you receive, things like that. I mean, you start polishing that. So by the time they get to varsity, they're ready, man. That's the end goal. I think every JV coach, your end goal should always be to get those guys ready for varsity. Like you shouldn't want to keep players, if that makes sense. Like that should not be the end game. You shouldn't want to hold them back. You want to progress. So I always looked at it like, man, like he took another player. That's great. Now I got to find like another plug, next guy up. So that was always my philosophy for JV is next guy up. We're ready to bring the next guy up. And I think, I love the way Carter played. Like I love his drills, like the combination play, the possession. He's a really, really good coach. He's got his A license. He was a really good guy to learn under. So very rewarding. And then as the head coach, I mean, the biggest difference I can honestly tell you is that it's all your fault. I mean, you lose the game, it's your fault. As the JV coach, like you lose a JV game. Like, I mean, I hate to say it, but who cares? It's not the end of the world. But you lose a varsity game, now we're talking playoffs. Yeah. Now we're talking angry parents about playing time because, everybody wants their baby on that field. Everybody wants them under the 7:30 lights. So I think the pressure is immense. Like it's so much different from JV to varsity. Like, because, I mean, varsity, it's all eyes on you, man. Like, like it's tough. Like you got to be the guy that wears multiple hats. You got to be the disciplinarian. You got to be the dad. You got to be the friend. You got to be the discipliner. Like it sucks, man. Like you got so much to do. Like, I mean, if I could walk you in a day of my life in my shoes, it's insane. Like, I mean, you gotta like, because I've coached club too. And I love club. It's awesome. Like you get to bond with those kids. But man, at high school, those kids on like a different level, man. Like there's kids that, they go home and they're not eating right. There's not that much food at the table. You have kids that, they practice with you until 5:30. They go home, change, and then they got to work until like 12 or 1 at night. That was like one of my starting center mids, man. Every night had to go wash some dishes at a sushi place. I mean, it's crazy, man. Like you start seeing like kids that show up late. You got to hold kids accountable for their grades. You got to, and it's just, you just see a different thing. Like as the head coach, you got to be on top of like 65 kids at once and maintain that order and discipline. Because for me, discipline's huge. If we're not disciplined and we're not on the same page and we don't believe, then we're not going to be successful as a team. And it starts from the bottom. If you let the freshmen get away with stuff, then when they become seniors, they're going to still try to get away with that same stuff. So I always say that to like new head coaches is like, you start from the bottom. If you start working with your freshmen, then it's going to pay dividends in the end, because by the time they're ready for you, they already know what's expected and what they need to do and the style of play and the style or what you're trying to do with the program. Like, we had like, for me, I mean, we did a bunch of stuff. Like one of the things is like in our locker room, you can only wear blue, white, gray, or black. No purple. That's more than ranch. Psychologically, you're trying to train them to like, oh, purple, like we're ready to fight. Like, let's go. No red, no orange, no crimson for Tompkins, no maroon for Cinco. And we have a lot of A&M kids, man. It's upsetting. Like they can't wear that shirt in the locker room, man. So, but it's like things like that. and things I always say, like we have 5 rules, and one of my rules, like my favorite rule, is you can always control 2 things: your effort and your attitude. So every day, you bring me 110% effort and a good attitude, and we're gonna have a good session. So, I mean, for me, it's about working those kids. One of the reasons why I think we were so successful is because I got those kids to buy into hard work. Because we have been successful the last 3 years. Because kids want to work and they want to get better and they want to push themselves. So, and we had great leaders, great captains that really wanted to turn the tide and get things going in the right direction. Because, I mean, when I first got there, the guys hadn't seen playoffs since 2014.
Dang.
And it was 2020, man, and it was rough. And that year sucked because we didn't even get to play a playoff game because of COVID. So that was like probably one of the worst parts. The next year, we lost in the first round in double overtime, and it was a hell of a game. But that game hurt because like my number 10, our stud, got COVID, man. It was the worst. That kid had like 10 goals and like 18 assists that year. He was our dude. And I think we scored like 44 goals that year. So he was our dude. Like he was the dude. So and then this year, I mean, we were blessed, man. We had a really good year. We got to go to Austin, compete against a school from Dallas, compete against a school from Austin. It's just a cool experience, man. We got to take the guys on a charter bus. We got to do a whole hotel room, and man, that was so stressful, like having to check in on 16, 17-year-olds, like making sure they're not doing anything crazy, wild, like, but it's fun. It's so rewarding because those kids have like the best time of their life. Like one of the coolest things was like we brought that somebody at school made us the believe sign from Ted Lasso.
Yeah.
And every time we'd step off the bus, man, we'd slap that thing like they do in the show.
Yeah.
And every time we come back on, we'd slap that thing. And we ended up going 3-0 in that tournament. And one of the guys put like 3-0 on there, and everybody like held the sign up and started chanting. Just a cool like experience, man. Then district, oh man, it was competitive when we were in high school. I think it's way more competitive now, man. It's a nightmare. Like I'm telling you, like with our schedule, like you open up with Morden, and I don't care what anybody says. Morden can bring a game any day of the week. They can give you a headache. They got some ballers. They got some solid coaches over there. And then you get the real nightmare. You go to Seven Lakes and you get humbled because those guys are legit, man. Those guys are legit. And after you wake up from that knockout, like this is our schedule. You got to wake up and you got to go play Tompkins, another regional powerhouse. So after you get 2 peats over there, like you got to get back up and play Maid Creek. And that is not fun, man. Those guys, they got some super technical players over there. They have this freshman kid. Man, he's a baller. Like he's a kid that like I think any coach would love to have. Daniel Solario, really good player. I think he's going to do some special things like in the district in the near future. And then you go on, and guess what? Now you got to play Cinco Ranch, and they are a huge headache. They got a special player, special forward up top. This kid named Danny. The kid can score goals, man, just like a threat. And then you go to Katy, and I don't care what anybody says. Katy can still that's the beauty of the sport, man. Like any night you can get humbled. It doesn't matter who you are. You see it all the time. I mean, even what was it? Liverpool lost the other day, or tied, and like now their title hopes are in jeopardy. Like it happens all the time, man. Like this is that sport where upsets, anything can happen. I mean, Barcelona getting knocked out by Frankfurt, like I hated my life that day. Like it sucks, man. Like it's that one sport. I mean, like you got Croatia making it to the 2018 World Cup final.
Yeah.
And I mean, they have players, but you don't expect stuff like that, man. It's that one sport that anything can happen, man. It's just it's a headache. So what I always tell our guys is like, we're gonna because I always believe we're not as skilled or technical as a lot of the teams in the district, but we will be disciplined and we will run. So some of the things we do is we run like dogs. Like I think I got that from like my high school coach in Liverpool, because they're the team that runs the most before the Premier League. So we run like crazy, man. Like but but a lot of it's with the ball. But that's something I believe in as a coach, is that we're going to press you hard. We're going to meet you high up there, and we're going to try to get you to make a mistake in your half, so we're closer to your goal. I mean, 3 things I believe in is like pressing high, possession, and I'd say countering. Countering. So like, I guess the 4th thing would be defense. The last 2 years we had the best defense in the league. Last year we only allowed 12 goals, and then this year 14 in district play. So that's like 12 games. Yeah, I mean it's really not, or no, it was 10 and 12 because we allowed a goal a game this year. So it's not bad at all, man. But it's tough when you're playing ballers like 7 legs. It is tough. Like,
I've heard.
Like we always like, man, like we go through like an in-depth PowerPoint, like something I always said, like when I first got the job at Taylor, because, you know, like talking to a lot of other coaches and people, is that the psychological aspect or mentality was weak, man. Like these kids, like, oh, we're playing Cinco. Oh, we got to play 7 legs. Oh, we got to play Tompkins. And it's changing that mindset from like, we're like a pushover team to now we're a contender, man. We are a contender. So if there's anything I think we were able to do in my 3 years of being there, is from going from like powder puff chumps to like a regional powerhouse, because we finished like 8th in the region. That's not too bad.
Not bad at all. Yeah.
6th in the district when I first got there to 8th in the region. So I mean, it's fun, man. It's fun.
All right, man. So you were talking about your whole scheduling and how difficult it is. But I wanted to ask you like kind of a little bit more specific. So how does an assistant coach like you at that time at Side Lakes gets, that head coach position at Taylor? And also as a head coach, how is it that you get to pick your players? Obviously, because I imagine, you have a bunch of guys come out, for tryouts. I remember when I was there, a bunch of guys will come out, and I'm sure it gets difficult. I like I said, Bruno over there at Brookshire, obviously he has a smaller pool, but you having a bigger pool and a lot more guys coming out, how do you decide, as a head coach, maybe this guy, what do you look for, in these young guys?
Okay. So I mean, like I think like from going from a JV coach to head coach, a lot of trial and error. Like you gotta throw your name out there, try your best. Because it sucks, man. I got turned down like 6 times. Still remember every school.
Shout out to all of them.
Yeah, but we've played all those schools, and except for Langham Creek. But I mean, hey, they hired a really good coach over there too. The guy's doing some great things. He's won district 2 times in the last 3 years. I mean, he's doing incredible things too. I can't hate on that one. He's doing a great job. But you got to be willing to kind of stick your name out there and get lucky, because I think I got lucky at Taylor. The guy at the time had quit like last minute, and they were like desperately looking for someone. And I think I just it was a crazy story, man. I always say it's the craziest story. So I used to have like your typical, I'd say like tool soccer player mullet with the braid in the back. Like, when I worked at Lakes, I had all that, the comb over, the business in the front, party in the back. And I was at I drove with my high school coach to take his son to the Creighton ID camp. And like he had told me that, hey, Taylor High School's open if you're interested. And he knew I had aspirations of being a head coach and things like that. And he's one of the guys that always supported me and pushed me. He's like a father figure to me. That guy, awesome guy, Freddie Sanganetti, man. He was the Morden coach, went on to coach the girls at Cinco for a long time. And he actually coached the guys at Cinco the last 2 years. I actually had to coach against him, and that was not fun. That was 2 butt whoopings and a tie. I'll take that. Like it was like, I'll say that, man. Coaching against someone that's like your dad is not fun, because it's like I remember like after our second game against each other, we're like storming the field at the final whistle, like telling each other off, and then like at the half field, like just yelling and ripping at each other. Hey, what about this? What about that? And then an hour later, we meet up at his house and hug it out. So, but it's just, oh man, but he's one of the guys that like pushed me to do it. Like kept telling me like, because after you get rejected or turned down, it's not a very good confidence booster. I'll say that. So, and this is from someone that's pretty confident. I've always been confident in the things I've done, but when someone tells you like, no, you're not good enough, it kind of demoralizes you. So
Yeah.
if there's advice I'd give someone, is like, just keep throwing your name out there. You never know. So we're driving to Creighton, we're in Omaha, and the AD at Taylor calls me and he's like, hey, we'd like to interview you on Monday. And we're in Omaha. Like, it's a 14-hour drive, man. Like, and the camp gets out Sunday night. So, we're over here scrambling, trying to figure out what we're going to do. And they ended up ending the camp, like, I think like at noon. So we're like, if we leave now, we'll get back home with stops and everything around 2 or 3. You'll have like 4 hours before the interview. And then it was 8 a.m. interview. You get a 4-hour sleep and then be refreshed and ready to go. So we started driving back. And by the time we get to Dallas, I'll never forget this, the craziest storm, like just ridiculous, man, just pouring so hard. And we're literally driving 20 miles, 30 miles per hour,
Wow.
like a whole 45. We get back to Houston at like 6:30. So like, it's literally like, we get to his house, I get in my car, I take like a 30-minute nap, a shower, put on my suit and go to Taylor and like interview. But I'll say like Freddie prepared me the whole way for the there and back while driving, like asking me questions that they would ask me and things like that, and getting me mentally and ready and everything. And I remember like after that interview, like I went straight home and just knocked out, and I woke up to a phone call saying like, hey, we're going with you, man. I was like, man, that's great. Probably one of the best decisions I'll ever make. So, I mean, that's really how it happened. It's a lot of trial and error, man, because you got to put your name out there and be willing to get told no or rejected. But you can't lose faith or confidence, and you got to have people that support and believe in you. Because, I mean, without that, I mean, it's tough. So, and then I'd say like picking players and things like that, man, it's tough. Like, because even at Cy Lakes and at Taylor, at tryouts, you have like 110 kids come out, and they all think they're the next coming of Diego Maradona or Messi or Ronaldo or something like that. And, I mean, like I always try to evaluate kids on like the 4 things USA Soccer like believes in, like the physical aspect, like the physical side of the game. Are they somewhat athletic, and they don't have to be, because, there's 4 other boxes, but, like, are they strong? Are they fast? Are they quick? And then you got like the psychological side of the game, how well do they take getting hit and get back up? Do they have an attitude? Are they a hard worker? Are they willing to take a hit? The tactical side of the game, how's their touch? Or sorry, not their touch, but their mind. Do they see the lanes? Do they read the game? Or are they closing the angles? Are they able to recognize when to press, when to step, when they should cover, when they need to provide balance, when they need to slide, when they need to make the extra pass, when they need to just take the shot, or even the technical side? How's their first touch, man? Is if I give you the ball, are you going to stop it, or is it a brick wall that's just going to come back to me? Like, like how's their ability to dribble? Are they dribbling with the laces or with the big toe? That's the big one. Or are they dribbling with the inside the foot or the outside the foot?
Yeah.
Just so things like that, you really have to be aware. And the good thing I'll say is that for tryouts, I mean, you were in high school, like you have the soccer period, so you get to see a lot of those kids throughout the year, and you kind of know. I wouldn't say like know who your varsity is like at tryouts. I mean, you kind of do, but by that time, like people that show up to tryouts, they're just like the guys that should come in and surprise you, or they're trying to fight for, like, you're trying to see, is this guy better than what I have in the period? And if he is, like, I remember my first year, we picked up a stud, man, at tryouts. He was a guy that wasn't in the period. He was a senior, but absolute stud. Like, I believe that if it wasn't for this guy, we don't make playoffs my first year. Like, Chance Arney, the kid can ball, man. And I still keep in touch with him, still contact that guy, all around good kid. But sometimes you find those hidden gems, man. Like
Yeah.
my first year there, we had a kid that just moved in from Venezuela and happened to be on their like U15 national team pool. This the stud, but his problem was like this: like if you didn't pass him the ball or he didn't score, things like that, he'd get emotional or upset, or and other coaches started seeing that, so they'd start giving him little love taps, and next thing you know, Julio's out the game. So it's just like, and we've always been blessed to have like a decent pool of players that want to work hard. So like, one of my best players this year, Stefano, man, like just absolute workhorse, has the technique, the tactical ability, absolute baller. Like he's been with me ever since I was first there. All 3 years he's been with me on varsity. And he's a guy that didn't start his first year, but played about 50, 60 minutes coming off the bench. Just like plug him in wherever I need him. And it's kids like that, like just he's a guy that I can honestly say helped me change the program with his like leadership ability and qualities, because he's a guy, and his mom always says this, like that he said that after his first year of high school, he was going to make changes and make sure that Taylor was more successful. And I don't know, I just happened to come by that year, and we did a lot of really good things. And he's the guy that he was our number 10 this year, our captain, and phenomenal year, but ended up getting hurt towards the end. Like wasn't able to move the same, but still like absolute baller. Like he scored a banger against Jersey Village. I sent you that banger video. He's the one that like it went through someone's legs and like he just like turned and ripped it upper 90 back post. But the kid was just a baller. Like it's kids like that make it so rewarding, that make you want to go to work, because it's like, if this kid wants to work, then I want to work my butt off for him. And there's something I believe in as a coach. It's that you got to get your players ready. I mean, like I believe that preparation prevents failure, man. So like I said, like on game days, we're watching PowerPoint, or not PowerPoint, not watching them, but we're going through a PowerPoint that talks about like what our strengths are as a team, what we need to do offensively to have success today, what we need to do defensively to have success, what the other team's going to do to us offensively, what their tendencies are offensively, what they do defensively, what their defensive tendencies are, their shape, their formation. How do they get, like when they look to move forward, what's their change of formation? Are they going, like, are they pushing wing backs up? Or are they pushing outside backs up? Do they have a guy that just anchors in there in the midfield and lets the other two guys? So we go, like, I'm telling you, man, some of these guys like that we play against, I could tell you like which foot he puts on first, man, or which shoe he puts on first. like what does he step with his right foot first on the field? If he does his left, it's going to be a bad day. So it's things like that you gotta know, man. You gotta know. Try to get your guys as successful as possible, man. So that's something like I watch a lot of film.
Yeah, you can tell.
A lot of film, like on other teams and things like that, man. You gotta watch film. Like, I mean, because it's something that even the pros say, like, not even just soccer. Like, I mean, you got guys like LeBron James and Tom Brady. What do they always do? Watch film.
Exactly.
Watch film. Kobe, watch film. So it's like, and thank God the district provides us with huddle and things like that. And you can like trade film or get film on other teams and watch film and things like that. But or go to games like during Christmas break, I don't schedule games. I just go watch everybody else play. Like my guys think I'm just giving them vacation time, but no, it's you guys go do what you're gonna do. I'm gonna go watch everybody else
some
play.
Scouting. Yeah,
exactly, man. Scouting's huge.
Interesting.
Like, huge. Like, I mean, like that's where I get all the good notes, man. Like that's what, like, because you may be missing people, but that's when you're still trying things, and you can tell from watching teams play. All right, this guy's a baller. Like, there's no way he's not in the starting lineup. Like, and right then and there, like, all right, this number 10's a stud or 7's a stud, and he only goes right. So what do? We stand on his right foot and make him go left. And for the love of God, like make him go left. Like,
right.
It's funny, like, because like in our PowerPoints, man, I wish you could see him. Like I put stuff like that. If you let him go right, I will bench you. Like I will take you to the field and put you on the bench. For the love of
That's
God,
crazy.
do not let him go right. Like,
I'm over here anxious to see those PowerPoints, man.
yeah, I'm telling you, like it's just things like that, man. And we always put videos in there, like hype up videos, like to get the
Right.
guys like juiced up. Like I mean, like Any Given Sunday. I don't know if you ever seen that movie. Al
No, I
Pacino
haven't.
gives one of the best speeches in that movie, man. You gotta like after we get off YouTube that Any Given
I'm about
Sunday
to.
Al Pacino speech. Like he gives one of the most juiced speeches that man that thing gets you going. Rocky, we always put on the Rocky the one he gives to his son, or even like Creed. Man, like we got videos for days that juice you up, man. So like it's always like because you always want to put them in the right mindset
Yeah.
of being like so like I mean, this year, man, we had a stud that something that I could say Taylor's known for is defense and long throws. We got a kid that he could throw that ball like from the 20-yard line, like on the touch line, all the way to the back post. Like
Dang.
phenomenal.
It's a
But
corner
he's
kick right there.
Egyptian. He's Egyptian. So these like Egyptian and Egyptian culture, man, they tend to show up late. And, 5:45 means you're here at 5:40 or you're.
Yeah.
So he would have the problem of showing up at like 5:55, 6 o'clock, wake up late or like not get a ride or miss a ride. And it sucks, but I'm a guy that I stick by my guns, man. I'm not gonna and I always tell the guys I would rather lose with my honor and dignity than let you guys run the show. Like because if you guys run the ship, we're gonna crash. So he's a guy that we'd have to bench a lot or I mean, there's times in district I sat him out the whole game against Cinco Ranch, first round, like sat him out the whole game because he could not show up on time. And it got to the point where like we changed our whole style. Home games, like instead of showing up at 5:45 and watching the JV play, we all stayed in my room after school. I brought my Xbox and my monitor, and they would play FIFA or watch like some like highlights or a game on the TV. But it's things like that, like recognizing your clientele, like as a coach, like this kid has a problem. And honestly, like it's not that we need him to be successful, but we're a hell of a lot better team when he's on the field. So
Yeah.
how are we going to make sure he's at the game on time? So I mean, all
I'm
the
gonna
guys
believe.
bought in, like they would bring their like pillows and stuff and take naps or hang out in the room or do homework and things like that. But I mean, honestly, like that was one of the things that because round one we went 2-4, man. We had a rough time. It was pretty bad. We caught a 4-game losing streak after going undefeated in preseason. We lost 7 Lakes 1-0, Tompkins 2-0, Maid Creek 1-0, Cinco Ranch 2-1, and they're all close games, like very
Yeah.
winnable. It's just like I remember 7 Lakes, we made the mistake of losing number 7, and 7 was a really good player, sophomore, but the kid had wheels, super technical player, got a good right foot, left foot. So we let number 10 turn and hit this kid a pass, and 10's probably, I'd say, top 2 players in the district. That kid, 7 Lakes, number 10 is legit. Right foot, left foot, hits it from distance. Kid plays center mid, center back, attacking mid, forward. I've seen him do it all. And
Jesus.
he's phenomenal. And, the kid just gets a sweet one-on-one, dribbles our center back, slides it back post, and we lose. Tompkins, probably like the biggest meltdown of our lives. Like I told those guys, for the love of God, do not give 10 or 8 a free kick. For the love of God. What do we do all first half? Give them free kicks, man.
Oh Lord.
Stupid foul after stupid foul after stupid foul. And I remember number 8 bangs one up in the uprights, like a foul, like probably 3-4 yards out the box, just bangs it in. Then we go to Maid Creek and we lose 1-0. 23, they have a stud, man. The kid, I don't know if he's Italian. His name's Italo. I don't know what he is, but the guy can play, man. And he plays like left wing, but he'll slide in kind of like Messi and drop in and become more central, like a 10, like a true 10.
Yeah.
And like they'll run like a 3-4-3 on you, but he'll come from the left side and come play like a little cam. Man, that kid, like, and I tell the guys, for the love of God, just force him left. Comes in on that right with his right foot, we're screwed. And that's how he scored. They hit like a switch, full field switch. And the wing back, the left wing back, gets the ball and slides it into him. and he fakes left. And I always tell the guys to drop his shoulder and pull it back to the right. And he did, sure enough, he did that and gets a shot first post and just slides it in, man. And I can tell you every game, man.
Yeah, I can see.
like Cinco, I'll tell the guys, man, number 9, if he sees the goal, we're in trouble.
That's it.
Yeah, he sees the goal, we're in trouble. And we let him see the goal on the first one. My CDM held on to the ball a little too long, and they picked his cookies, and they unleashed number 9 and sees the goal, slides it in, and they score the first one. And then the second one, man, it was Heartbreak City. Like I told one of my center backs, hey, do not let him turn. Just force him to play back. I want you on his back, like man mark him. And that means if he uses the restroom, you're going in the restroom too. If he's talking to the coach on the sideline, you're the third man in the combo. Like, and sure enough, the one time he lets the guy turn, like
that was it.
He hits in a nice little chip through ball, and it's a finished back post. It's just like it's crazy, man. You tell these kids. And then round 2, we went 5-1, man. We beat Borden, we beat Seven Lakes, we got 3-piece by Tompkins. I don't like playing in stadiums, man. We're a team that we're not as fast as like some of the other schools. We're not as technical. So when you have a bigger field or bigger space, we're in trouble. Like we just cannot cover like that ground. And so we played Tompkins at Rhodes, got 3-piece. We woke up against Maid Creek, beat them 3-1. We went back to Maid Creek 3-1. We went back to Cinco Ranch, beat them 4-0. That was the first time I ever beat Cinco as a head coach, man. That was a crazy night. It was 0-0 until the last 10 minutes. And we put in this Argentinian kid named Ignacio, and he ignited the comeback of the century, man. like we put in 3 goals in the last 10 minutes. And one of them was like probably the most beautiful combination counter I've ever seen us do. And then absolute banger 10 minutes into the second half. And then we ended up beating Katy and clinch our playoff spot. And it was crazy to go from 2-4 to 5-1. It was crazy, man. Honestly, like insane.
Coming back. So let me tell you this. After obviously you obviously know your team, you love your team. What is next for you? You know, as a coach, what is next for you as a person? Obviously, you know what is next for your team. At Taylor, obviously, you know, every year you have some seniors come out, you have the young guys come in. You know, are you already planning those things, or how does it work for somebody like you?
Yeah, well, like this year I decided to take a step back. Taylor's looking for like a new head coach right now. Okay. Just got like a lot going on, like personally, things like that. A lot of like stuff like with the family and things. So it was a tough decision to make. It was very difficult. Hurt a lot because if there's one thing anyone can say is I love those kids, man.
You're invested. You can tell.
Yeah, like I'll take a bullet for my kids, and they know that. It was hard, man. Like telling them to their face, lots of tears. There's one thing I always say is I won't cry in front of them. Like I won't do it. Like, you got it. You know what I mean? Like as a man figure or an adult figure, you can't show too much weakness. But that was probably the most painful thing I've ever done. But I know they're in the process of looking. But if I was like still the head coach or like going into next year, I mean, things we would do is like, I mean, the off season, I mean, we start hitting it hard. We usually like, for me, I mean, it's usually like the guys know like Monday's conditioning Monday, and you know you're gonna get your bucket. You got parachutes, sleds, ladders, all about getting faster, quicker. And then Tuesday is like technical Tuesday, man. You already know we're gonna do lots of quick touches, lots of you know, like you got your ball drills, short passes, passing patterns, things of that nature. And then Wednesday is like possession Wednesday. Like we're working on drills that just focus on possession. And then Thursday we'll usually do some kind of finishing and weight room in the morning. So we usually hit like a 6 a.m. weight room. And if you don't go to the weight room, you don't get to take shots in the afternoon. So you always try to do it to where it's like rewarding. Come get this lift in, and then you get to have fun in the afternoon. If not, you're going to run. So you got to make up for something, you know? Yeah. So then Fridays, we always scrimmage. Always ended on a scrimmage, and we film it so the kids can see it. And we try different things, different formations, different guys. So like whoever's hot is like your starting 11, you know? Like the dudes that are best in form, you'll put as your 11, and then you're just throwing different teams, like different guys that you think could give them a hard time in there, and then you just cycle through the guys in the period until they either fall down or you got two complete different teams in. But I always think it should be highly competitive. You know, you got to get the best guys out there because iron sharpens iron. And if you got the best 11 out there, they'll make each other better. And then the other guys, I mean, you know how it is to be you always want to be the guy on top of the hill. You always want to be the David that takes down the Goliath. So the other guys are going to bring their best game to take out the top 11. So for me, it's competition. And then something I think really made us a lot better this year. That's kind of why I'm taking a step back, is because, you know, it was just all year for the last 3 years, every month was some kind of soccer. So like we do mat camp, and even in the summers, I didn't take a break, man. So you're allowed, like, it's called like sports specific instruction. So you're allowed like an hour Monday through Thursday to train like your guys. So we would do like mat camp, which is like Mustangs athletic camp. So guys coming in to be like soccer players or want to be in the period. So you got guys that are 9th, 10th, 11th, and then kids incoming like 7th, 8th, 6th graders coming in to work out. And we do more like things that, because we do like the 4 o'clock session, and I'd focus on things that soccer players I think need. So, you know, like we need back. You gotta work out the back, because how do you hold people off?
Yeah.
You gotta have a strong back. Shoulders, focus on shoulders, because, you know, like where you're gonna get hit, a lot of shoulder to shoulder. So you gotta have strong shoulders to hold guys off. And core, you guys know, I mean, you gotta have a strong core. Chest. So we do like a lot of upper body. And as soccer players, you know, the legs take care of themselves. We don't really need to like deadlift 12,000 pounds or squat 400 pounds. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, like,
they
always take care of themselves with the running. Like, so, I mean, we do some squats or deadlifts, but mainly like upper body, and then working on speed. So we had our own little like thing for mat camp too, like Monday upper body, Tuesday lower body, Wednesday upper body, Thursday would be like another upper body day, and like it'd be like a scrimmage day. Wednesday was futsal. There's one thing I believe in, it's futsal, man. Like, and we use the futsal ball, like the heavy ball.
The heavy one, yeah.
Yeah. So like even like the freshmen even have a pattern. So the freshmen are the only guys that get to play futsal. Like the upperclassmen are always jealous about that. But just the way the scheduling works, like for 5th period freshman class, there's always a gym available. So Thursdays we go in there and we play futsal, and it's 5-a-side. And it's interesting because some of these kids, man, they shouldn't tie, they shouldn't be able to walk and chew bubblegum, man. So, like, that's where like you develop that touch, man. Like small spaces, like guys coming at you quick. You gotta learn how to move the ball or control the ball and facilitate or get that strong first touch and release, or that shot from distance. So, and I like the heavy ball because it focuses on the touch. Like there's no bouncing. Like, let's see that first touch. Let's see if you could dribble. Let's see you go into space and attack and create those imbalances, those 2v1s, those 3v2s. So for me, I love futsal, man. So in the summer, it's fun because everybody gets to play. So it's like you get your upperclassmen versus your freshmen and things like that. So I don't know. For me, like I always believed in like touching. You got to get the touches on the ball, lots of touches. So I think that, like, if there's one thing we did do at Taylor, it's get the guys bigger and stronger and more technical, because we weren't really blessed with the most technical kids. So I don't know, like I think for a coach, you got to have a game plan, man. You got to know what, like, going into next season, like if I wasn't there right now, man, we'd be working on, or if I was coming back next year, we'd be working in the weight room. And because I don't think we'd really need to touch a ball, but we need to work in the weight room and we need to get faster. Because like my JV coach did a really good job of developing the younger players. So like they have good touches, they have good instincts on the ball, they can knock it. They have a good idea of how to play the game, but the size isn't there right now. They need, and we all know, I mean, you need some kind of size to play this
Yeah.
game. I mean,
Yeah.
you need something. I mean, yeah, you could have a bunch of little chapados running out there, a bunch of little short guys, but if they can't hold their own, man, and you need speed. If you ain't got size, you need speed.
Yeah.
So that's something we're missing in both aspects, size and speed. So, but every coach, I mean, you have to really sit down and evaluate what's your team need. What do we need going into the season? So I think that's something that Taylor will need is size and speed and things like that. So I think it's the coach's job to figure out what do we need to focus on. So
Well, that's a good tip for whoever's coming in.
yeah,
You basically just kind of laid it out.
yeah.
But hey, man, I want to thank you so much for taking this time, man, for sharing a little bit about your story, about the passion, about some of these ideas and technical things that you've done. I mean, you sound like a really smart guy. I'm over here like taking I'm over here taking notes, wanting to see all these PowerPoints, and you made me excited to maybe go watch some of these games, when the season rolls around. But do you have any like a quick message to any of these maybe coaches or aspiring coaches that maybe want to get into this, for the love of the game or whatever it may be?
Man, I'll say this: if you don't love the game, man, don't do it. You gotta love the game. It's not one of those jobs that like the paycheck or the money's worth it, because it's really not. Like, but if you really want to, like, if your heart's in the game and you love to help others and be a servant leader and help people get better, and because for me it was always about building better people. Like hopefully these kids down the line will like use that discipline and commitment and mental toughness to become better people. That's the end game. Like for me, end game is graduation. It's not a district title or winning a state championship or things like that. Is Aiden going to walk across the stage? Are we going to get Alex across? Are we going to get LA across the stage? Stefano, is he crossing the stage? So you want them to be better people than when you found them. And if that's something that you can live by and you're okay with and you want to see, then yeah, get into the game, man. I mean, because if you just want to be a coach and like you love the game, then there's club. But if you really want to impact others and help these kids and mentor kids and facilitate their growth, then yeah, high school's for you, man. Because I mean, the paychecks aren't great, but the reward in the heart, it makes it all worth it, man. Like these kids, like there's some special kids out there, and there's kids that need people to help them unlock that potential and to help them, like, because everybody needs somebody that believes in them. I mean, like if you watch Ted Lasso, if you haven't seen it, you should watch it. Phenomenal show. And it's not just about soccer, even though soccer's a big part of it. Like it's got a lot of really good messages, and like one of those messages is belief. If you have people that believe in you, man, anything's possible. You could do anything. So I think that for a coach coming in, you got to believe in those kids. I mean, whoever takes over at Taylor, you gotta water the grass, man. Because that's something that a lot of people said, like me coming in there was like, oh, they suck. There's nothing there. You're not going to get anything out of them. Like all those kids they're undisciplined. I'm a strong believer that wherever you water the grass, it's going to grow. So if you take care of the grass and you take care of the yard and you water it, you're going to reap some rewards, or you'll bear some fruit. So if you're a fisher of men and you want to see people grow, man, high school coaching is for you, or coaching in general is for you, because awesome. It's awesome. Appreciate it, Cristian. Thank you.
No, thank you. And don't forget, everybody, just check out QuattroQuattroDos everywhere you can, and we'll see you guys in the next episode. Yeah, have a good one.
Have a good one, man. Peace.